Near a beautiful island, a group of orca whales take advantage of their freedom to swim together, without the presence of hunters or whaling ships. One of them stands out for performing incredible acrobatics, which she has learned from her human best friend, Willy. 2 years have passed since young Jesse helped Willy return to his family, and now the whale is having fun with his mother and siblings. All this fun is captured by Randolph, one of the workers at the park where Willy used to live, who is sailing in a boat with his goddaughter, Nadine. Meanwhile, Jesse and his adoptive father, Glenn, spend some time together learning to steer a boat. However, Dwight, a foster care worker, shows up with bad news for the boy, as his long-lost mother has perished in New York. Before she perished, she left another son, Elvis, an 8-year-old boy who also needs a home. But Jesse doesn't care and runs away, angry that he has lost his mother and that she has another child after abandoning him. The boy rides his bike to the port, but Glenn soon catches up with him and tries to calm him down. He tells him that Elvis will be staying with them for a few days until he finds a new family to adopt him. Jesse reluctantly agrees, and, at the end of the day, Dwight introduces Elvis to Glenn and his wife, Annie. However, just like Jesse on his first day of adoption, Elvis turns out to be a rebellious boy who won't take orders from anyone. The atmosphere becomes even more uncomfortable when Jesse, forced by his adoptive parents, leaves his room to meet his half-brother. However, neither of them is happy about the encounter, and Jesse soon returns to his room. The next day, the family goes on a vacation to San Juan Island, taking their new boat with them. On the way, Elvis soon turns out to be a talkative boy with a fertile mind who likes to make up stories about himself and his perished mother. This personality only makes Jesse even more annoyed at having to put up with the boy throughout the trip. After arriving on the island, the family sets up their tent in a campsite, and, shortly afterwards, Randolph turns up to visit them. He is then introduced to Elvis, and the boy wastes no time in making fun of the guy's Native American origins. Nevertheless, Randolph takes the boy's jokes in his stride and soon invites Jesse to go sailing on his boat and see the whales. On the way, Randolph gives him an orca-shaped necklace as a token of his friendship with his friend Willy. Minutes later, they finally reach the boat, and there, Jesse falls in love at first sight with Nadine. Randolph doesn't like this very much, but he introduces his goddaughter, and the three of them set off on their boat trip. As soon as they reach the high seas, the old man shows Jesse a recording he has taken of the whales, and the boy immediately identifies one of the sounds as Willy's. Jesse asks them to go after his friend, and, after a few minutes of searching, they find a group of orcas swimming in the sea. Among them, the boy meets Cat's Paw, the name given to Willy's mother, as well as his sister, Luna, and younger brother, Barely. Finally, it's Willy's turn to appear in the water, and Jesse immediately recognizes him by his bent fin. The boy asks to get closer to the whales, but Randolph warns him that they're hunting and it's best to come back the next day. Hours later, Jesse returns home and talks to Glenn about his reunion with Willy and his family. His father is happy with the news, but advises him to try to enjoy the vacations with his own family, including his half-brother. However, the boy still feels uncomfortable with Elvis' presence. At bedtime, the two are forced to share the same tent, and Jesse soon establishes a distance between them. Even so, the boy doesn't obey him and says he heard about the friendship between his brother and Willy the whale. Elvis then makes up another story, saying he's been through something similar, but this only makes Jesse angrier, and he leaves the shack. After that, the boy goes to sit by the harbor, and, to try to relax, he starts playing his harmonica. However, through carelessness, he ends up dropping his instrument into the water, with no chance of getting it back. To his surprise, Willy emerges from the water, carrying Jesse's harmonica in his mouth. The two friends are happy to be reunited after so long, and Jesse takes the opportunity to vent about his mother's perishment. The meeting, however, is interrupted by Willy's mother, who calls him back to the sea, and the boy says goodbye and returns to his tent. When dawn breaks, Jesse calls his parents to go whale watching on Randolph's boat, but they prefer to sleep in and tell him to take his brother. Even though he doesn't really want to, he takes Elvis along, and, when they arrive at the port, Jesse once again gets awkward around Nadine. However, the girl is already leaving, and Randolph tells her that his boat is faulty and will take hours to fix. This turns out to be the perfect opportunity for Jesse to get to know the girl better, and, while Randolph is doing the repairs, he runs towards her. However, Elvis is still with him, so Jesse tells him to go back to camp so he doesn't get in his way. Shortly afterwards, the boy finds Nadine at the edge of the lake, admiring the scenery. Suddenly, Willy and his family appear nearby, and Jesse, who has been watching everything from nowhere, tries to get a closer look, but ends up slipping on the rocks. Nadine hears the noise and goes to see what's going on, until she finds Jesse and soon deduces that he has followed her. Even so, she helps him up and tells him that this is her favorite place on the island, as whales often pass by. When Jesse hears this, he tries to impress her and starts playing his harmonica, which makes not only Willy, but the other whales around him, react to the sound. The boy then calls Nadine over to take a closer look, without realizing that nearby is Elvis, who has come to keep an eye on what his half-brother is doing. As he watches from afar, Jesse runs towards some rocks above the river and calls for Willy. The whale answers his call and the boy introduces him to his new friend, Nadine. The girl then tries to cuddle him, but just for fun, Willy fires a blast of water at her and Jesse. As a result, the boy's cap ends up falling into the lake and, knowing that Willy won't hurt him, he jumps into the water to get it back. Nadine is worried, but soon Jesse emerges, riding Willy, and the two of them take a stroll around the lake. Impressed by his brother's skill, Elvis picks up his harmonica and tries to call the other whales, but Luna appears and drenches him with a jet of water. After the walk, Jesse invites Nadine to his camp and the two of them watch the sea from a distance. Meanwhile, Elvis has returned without his brother noticing and invents another story for Glenn and Annie, saying that Jesse and his friend kissed. When he hears this, Glenn calls Jesse to talk and clear up the story, but the boy denies everything, saying that he only took her to see the whales. Glenn then realizes that it was just another lie by Elvis and, as punishment, he leaves him inside the tent, unable to leave until he has learned his lesson. Now that he's free of his brother, Jesse invites Nadine to take a closer look at the whales. The two of them swim to the bottom of the lake and there they meet Willy who, together with his family, takes the two young people on a tour of the sea. This incredible experience not only makes the girl less insecure around whales, but also brings her even closer to Jesse. Finally, the two of them return to shore and thank Willy and his family for the trip. Before returning to the campsite, the two young people soon realize how much they love each other, and they reciprocate with a kiss. For Jesse, his vacation on the island is the best of his life, but a threat is looming in the sea. An oil tanker called the Dakar is passing close to the island, carrying a huge amount of oil. Unsuspecting of the ship's presence, Jesse returns to his tent to rest and, on seeing his brother, tries to get closer to him and asks about his mother. During the conversation, he learns that Elvis also had a difficult life with her and that he used to make up stories to escape his sad reality. The two continue to talk, while the oil tanker continues on its way. However, while passing close to the island, a mechanical failure occurs in the engines and the ship begins to approach the rockiest part of the sea. The sailors try to steer clear, but the ship ends up crashing into Lawson Reef, causing its hull to be punctured. As a result, all the oil stored on the ship begins to leak into the sea, contaminating all the water and risking the lives of marine life. The next day, Jesse wakes up to Willy's call, which sounds a lot like the sounds he used to make when he was in trouble. The boy runs to see what has happened, alongside Elvis, and the two of them reach the shore, where they find Luna, Willy's sister, unable to move. When they take a closer look, they notice that the whale is covered in oil and Jesse sends Elvis to call his parents for help. On returning to camp, the boy tells them everything and, at first, the couple think it's another story, but the sound made by Luna proves that he's telling the truth. Glenn and Annie then call Randolph who, with Nadine's help, goes to analyze the whale and discovers that it has absorbed oil in its lungs. After removing as much of the dirt as possible, the whole family gets together to push Luna back into the sea, but it's no use. This critical situation soon attracts the attention of the locals and the media, who are concerned about the environmental impact of the oil spill and the whale's health. Speaking of her, Randolph realizes that he won't be able to save her without more help. He calls one of his veterinarian friends, Dr. Kate, to take care of Luna and she promptly shows up on the scene, along with her team. However, when she and her colleagues go by boat to inject the medication into Luna, Willy starts acting violently and tries to scare them away. Dr. Kate understands that the whale is afraid that they might harm his sister, so she asks Jesse for help, as he is the only one who can calm him down. At her side is John, the owner of the oil company, who wants to resolve the situation as soon as possible so as not to damage his company. The boy agrees to help, but John must commit to getting Willy and his family safely to sea and thus make amends for the natural disaster his ship has caused. Although he doesn't seem very interested in doing this, the owner of the oil company accepts Jess's terms. With everything planned, Elvis readily offers to help too, but Glenn won't allow it, which makes the boy get angry and leave. Minutes later, Annie finds the boy and calls him to talk, but he says he can't stand the fact that everyone is paying attention to Jesse and not to him. The adoptive mother, however, says that Elvis is already part of her family and that he is just as important as his brother. Finally, she promises that Elvis will be able to help rescue the whales and, with a handshake, they both commit to fulfilling this agreement. Elvis is so pleased with this that, when he finds his brother about to start the plan to save Luna, he wishes him good luck, something that surprises Jesse. Jesse then picks up his harmonica and starts playing it in an attempt to call Willy. Seconds later, the whale appears, but it's still agitated and starts crashing into the wooden bridge, almost knocking Jesse into the sea. The boy does his best to calm Willy down, while Dr. Kate and her team take a boat towards Luna. As she approaches her, the doctor says she needs to inject the medicine into her tail, so the boy asks Willy to do it, and when the whale obeys, Luna does the same. Thanks to this, Dr. Kate manages to inject the antibiotic that will heal Luna's lungs and save her life. However, the problem is far from solved, as Randolph has detected that the winds are pushing the oil from the sea into the cove. They decide to spend the rest of the day coming up with a plan to prevent an environmental tragedy, and when night falls, Jesse goes to rest in his tent. Inside, Elvis is fiddling with his whale necklace and asks his brother where he got it. Jesse replies that it was a gift from Randolph and tells the same story he told him about the legend of his tribe and the creation of the whales. Elvis is very interested as he listens to the story, and the bond between the brothers grows stronger. The next morning, Nadine and Randolph rush to call Jesse and his family, as Luna has returned to shore and doesn't seem to be feeling well. To make matters worse, if she isn't taken back out to sea quickly, she won't be able to breathe and all the efforts to save her will have been in vain. Randolph then decides to try another treatment and takes Jesse into the forest to look for a tree known only to his tribe. After much searching, they finally find the tree, and Randolph uses his knowledge to make a medicine. Meanwhile, Glenn, Annie and Nadine try to push the whale back into the sea, and Elvis again asks them to help. However, everyone, including Annie, tells him to go back to the beach, and the boy, seeing that his mother hasn't kept to the agreement, runs away crying. Then, after much effort, the group manages to get Luna back to the sea, but when Annie realizes what she has done to Elvis, she runs after him. However, the boy is nowhere to be found in the camp, and Annie, together with Glenn, goes to the police to ask for help in finding him. Later, Randolph and Jesse return to the harbor, and the boy summons Willy and Luna with his harmonica. He then gestures for Willy to open his mouth, and when his sister does the same, Randolph seizes the chance and puts the medicine on Luna's tongue so that she can swallow it. Then he begins to recite a prayer from his tribe, wishing that the whale will be cured. Jesse listens attentively, and as soon as Randolph has finished, the two of them return home and hope that Luna recovers soon. Another day passes and Elvis is still missing. The boy, still angry with his adoptive family, tries to return to the city, but the ship has sailed and he is forced to stay on the island. With no other choice, Elvis goes to a diner to order breakfast and, by coincidence, finds John talking to one of his partners. During the conversation, Elvis learns that John intends to capture Willy and his family in order to sell them and thus compensate for the damage caused by the ship's leak. Now that he knows about the guy's evil plans, Elvis takes the road back to the camp to warn Jesse and his family. Little does he know that the villain has already put his plan into action, ordering his team to set up nets around the cove to keep Willy and his brothers trapped. They try to justify themselves to everyone, saying that they will capture the whales and take them to a safe place. However, Jesse soon suspects that something is wrong, and his suspicions are confirmed when Elvis shows up and tells him the whole truth. The two brothers run up to the owner of the oil company and reveal their plans in front of everyone. John tries to justify himself and tells his men to take the boys away, but instead Jesse and Elvis push the man into the water. Even so, John's cronies have already started capturing the whales and are pulling Luna up on a stretcher and taking her into one of the ships. To their misfortune, Willy also decides to intervene and knocks over the boat of one of the sailors, causing him to release the stretcher and knock Luna back into the water. Luna has been rescued, but the whales still need to be freed from the nets that surround them. Jesse then gets into his father's boat with Nadine, and the two of them speed off to catch up with Willy and guide him and his family along a safe path to the sea. On the way, they meet Elvis at the port and ask him to join them, but they have to hurry because John's men are also planning to follow them by boat. Fortunately, Elvis had left the anchor stuck in the harbor, and when they try to start the boat, it gets stuck and the men are thrown into the water. After escaping from them, Jesse, Nadine and Elvis go in search of Willy and reach the net that holds the whales captive. Jesse then helps Willy remember the last trick they did together, where the whale jumped over a huge stone wall and escaped into the sea. Willy then decides to repeat this same stunt, and, with a wave of Jess's hands, the whale makes a huge leap over the net, which completely falls apart. With the way clear, Willy and his family head out to sea, accompanied by Jesse, Nadine and Elvis in their boat. However, more problems arise on the way, as a huge explosion occurs on the oil tanker, causing the oil scattered at sea to burst into flames. Fortunately, Willy and his family manage to swim under the fire and make it safely to the other side. Jesse and his friends celebrate, but they don't see a rock in the middle of the water and their boat crashes into it, causing the hull to break. The water begins to rush into the boat and flames begin to surround the entire cove. Elvis despairs at the danger around him, but Jesse calms him down, promising him that he will never let anything bad happen to him. Even so, the oil is spreading more and more and the fire is getting closer to the boat. Luckily, Randolph had called for help from the Coast Guard minutes before and soon a helicopter appears, throwing a rope with a vest to save the kids. The first to be pulled into the helicopter is Elvis, followed by Nadine. Now it's Jess's turn to be rescued, but the boat is practically underwater and the boy can't reach the rope. Even so, he doesn't give up and with a lot of effort, Jesse manages to reach the rope. The helicopter then backs away from the flames and the Coast Guard officers start to pull the boy out. However, just as he was about to reach the helicopter, Jesse slips and ends up falling back into the water. Nadine and Elvis ask the agents to save him, but the helicopter can't get any closer and now Jess's only hope is for the rescue boat to come and pick him up. Even so, Jesse doesn't have much time and it may be too late when the boat arrives to save him. Then Willy appears in front of his friend and takes him away from the danger. However, they have to get through the fire and, just as he did before, Willy goes under the flames, leaving Jesse safe on the other side. Afterwards, the two find Randolph's boat, which has brought Glenn and Annie along to rescue their adopted son. The couple are very happy and relieved to see that Jesse is okay and the boy takes the opportunity to thank Willy for saving his life. He then says goodbye to his friend, but the whale doesn't seem to want to part with him again. Even so, Jesse knows that Willy will be safer away from there and, gesturing with his hand, he tells him to go back to his family. The two friends say goodbye once more and reunite with their families. Jesse is happy to see that Nadine and Elvis have also managed to save themselves after this difficult adventure. When he meets his brother again, Elvis shows him an old photo of his mother and reveals that she always regretted abandoning Jesse because she loved him so much. Jesse thanks his brother with a hug and the two finally settle their differences. This moment moves his adoptive parents, who soon decide to add to their family and adopt Elvis as part of the family. After everything has happened, Elvis asks what happened to Willy and his brother tells him that they are in a safe place. The boy asks how he knows this and Jesse, holding his necklace, says he has faith in Willy and repeats Randolph's prayer in honor of his best friend. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.